So unfortunately, it seems as though the Suns are trying to make me eat my words. I did have a video earlier in the year. My earliest one was talking about Bol practicing with Kevin Durant to become somebody that can actually realize the talent that he has instead of being a negative that can't get out of his own way. My second video, and the less popular of them, has been talking about how I do not view the Suns as contenders. And I'm looking back and they're already making me kind of want to eat my words. Now, I'm not going to retract all of what I said because the problems still lie the same way, but they have been addressed slightly with this trade when they jumped into that three-way deal to help the Bucks out in getting Damian Lillard. Thanks for tuning into the video. As always, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. Make sure to like the videos so that the algorithm knows to push the content out to more viewers. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this one. The simple fact of the matter is DeAndre Ayton had kind of lasted his time and they just weren't going to use him the way that he honestly could have been, so it was best for both sides to move on eventually. I thought that he did have one more year in him, but they, I guess, decided otherwise, which the opportunity presented itself and gave them the opportunity to just go ahead and push the needle just a little bit to add to depth, because the biggest issues for them going forward, for me personally, the two questions were their defensive capabilities and their playmaking opportunities. Alongside that, you had a little question mark that was about depth, but I felt like it was kind of addressed. And while they didn't have the best depth and the best bench in the league, they weren't as empty in the cupboard as me to sit there and say that they have blaring sirens in the back of their head because they're cooked beyond their big three. That being said, the updated depth chart as far as expectations go, according to Bleacher Report, says that Bradley Beal obviously will be the starting point guard, then Saban Lee, then Jordan Goodwin. On shooting guard wise, it will be Devin Booker, then Eric Gordon, then Keon Johnson, then Damian Lee. From a small forward standpoint, it'll be Josh Okogie, Grayson Allen, then Keita Bates-Diop. From the power forward spot, it'll be Kevin Durant, Nasir Little, and then Yuta Watanabe. And at the center spot, it'll be Yusuf Nurkic, who they just received, obviously, Drew Eubanks, then Bol. This implies that Bol has already been buried in the rotation, which understandably so. This trade does kind of bring me a little bit of dismay because I did want to see Bol have his fair shake and opportunity to just make things happen. That being said, we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, and it's that they simply got better, because their starting five of Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Josh Okogie, Kevin Durant, and Yusuf Nurkic is solid. But when you have the bench unit and you know names like the Eric Gordons, the Grayson Allens, the Nasir Littles, the Yuta Watanabes, and the Drew Eubanks, and then Bol's that far down the list, you feel really good about who you are as a team. Understanding that though, you still have to realize that while they have added to the depth that they really needed, and Nasir Little and Grayson Allen provide shooting and defense, it doesn't address the two problems that I had overall. Now, Yusuf Nurkic is a significantly better playmaker than DeAndre Ayton was. Now, admittedly, he only averages like 3 assists a game, I believe, roundabout, compared to DeAndre Ayton's like 1.7. That being said, though, on a consistent basis, he's just a better passer by all stretches of the imagination. And when they need an improvement in the playmaking department, and they're kind of expecting Bradley Beal to take up the control of the offense that Chris Paul had, it's one of those things where it's like, yes, obviously Devin Booker's going to initiate the offense more often, and Kevin Durant's going to initiate the offense a lot more often because they're just ball dominant guys. And of course, so will Bradley Beal. But you need some guys to set up the offense for other guys and just to keep things under control, in check, and within the flow of the game while you're playing it on the court together. That being said, I think Yusuf Nurkic does assist them in that way. He might be a better fit alongside them for the scheme that they're going to try and run. I don't think that he's better defensively, which is a slight issue considering the fact that he's not necessarily the great rim protector that DeAndre Ayton is. And while he will give effort, he's also a little bit slower on the perimeter, in my opinion, and just overall not as solid on that side of the ball. So you improved your playmaking, you decreased on defense, you have less rim protection. So does that mean when they're going to go small ball, are they going to put KD at the 5? Yeah, you're going to score points, but you're not going to be able to protect the rim or cover anything. You're not going to stop anybody from scoring. So it's really going to be a run and gun offense. We're going to outscore you every single time and pray you don't get enough buckets back on us. That being said, we know that Yusuf Nurkic hasn't played a healthy season in quite some time, and More recently, he's been playing in the 50 game period. Looking on further on down the road, we can expect him to miss some time, which means, do you think Drew Eubanks is the person that you're probably going to have starting come playoff time? Or are you going to go Bol Bol? I mean, if Bol Bol really shows out, that might be his opportunity. But we don't want to sit there and bank and hope that, he ends up getting hurt, because Yusuf Nurkic at the end of the day is a solid big. Obviously, last season he only averaged 13.5 points and 9 rebounds. But overall, he's a very solid player to have on the floor, considering he also shot 52% from the field, and he did flash the opportunity to shoot from long range at 36.1%. But again, that was on limited attempts, so you don't want to give too much thought to it, but understand that he does have a better opportunity for having a shooting touch than DeAndre Ayton did. All things considered, I think from a depth standpoint, they are genuinely scary at this point. I still don't think that they're better than the Denver Nuggets, because the Denver Nuggets returned their starting five, and the way they cohesively played together, there were no questions. And though they did lose Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, who some people consider to be addition by subtraction, whatever the case may be, those two were important pieces to the rotation come playoff time. And without them, I still think that they're a better team, simply because their top five can play 30 minutes and not only be extremely defensively sound, but also score in copious amounts as well. I don't necessarily love the fit of the big three that they have here. My personal opinion is that they're all 3 different heights and 4 years apart of being the same player. So they are efficient scorers, which is a big thing, and it's going to be a big positive. And if they all have hitting nights every single night, then there's no question they are a favorite to win the championship. But I don't believe that they're going to be hitting every night, and I don't think their defense is going to be up to par, because Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant haven't been plus defenders really at any point in their careers. I mean, Kevin Durant was for a certain period of time, but post Achilles tear, he hasn't been a plus defender. They're all average at best, to be quite frank. Josh Okogie is going to give you some good defense, and Yusuf Nurkic isn't going to be an absolute cone, but it is a regression from what you had with DeAndre Ayton. He's not the same brim protector. It's a thought process of, we're going to find a way to make this work no matter what happens. And while I do like that mindset, and I have to give it up to them because they did address a need, which was the bench, and now their bench is just overflowing with talent. The more and more I look at it, it's really makes me salivate a bit, because I am jealous for a lot of other teams that really should have depth and just haven't been able to make the moves to get pieces like they have. That being said, defense, playmaking. If those two things go right, this team's their ceiling is a championship. If they go wrong, I could see a second round exit. I do expect them to win the first round matchup, whoever they end up going against regardless, but scratch that. It is possible that they lose in the first round, depending on who their matchup is. But in general, I would expect them to definitely clear first round and go in the second round. However, what ends up happening from there is entirely on them. The type of system they run, how many shots they get off, who's hitting what, how good Bradley Beal masquerades as a pseudo Chris Paul with a better scoring sense, and if Yusuf Nurkic can hold up on defense and stay healthy. If Nurkic can't stay healthy and you're relying on Drew Eubanks or Bol Bol to run the five for a significant period of time in the latter half of the playoffs, then you are probably in a little bit of danger. But that's not the worst thing in the world if you have Drew Eubanks starting at your center. You can get away with that when you have as much offensive firepower as they have potentially on the court at once. But like I said, it's only a matter of time. In this season, bar any more changes, I do legitimately see them as contenders now. They are not my favorites. I still prefer a healthy Clippers team, and the Nuggets are still better. I believe that the Lakers are also a better team than them from top to bottom, but I would not be surprised if they were capable of beating any of those teams that I just listed. That being said, it's going to be an uphill battle, and it's really going to come down to their coaching scheme, their offensive scheme, and how they decide to play defense, and just the general health of some of these players on their roster, more so looking at it from a Yusuf Nurkic standpoint, for us to know 100% for sure. But I'm going to mildly retract and say that now they are bona fide contenders. But with that being said, go ahead and like the video so that the algorithm knows to push it out to more viewers. Go ahead and comment your thoughts down below. Subscribe, turn on those post notifications, and without any further ado, good morning, good evening, good night, no matter where you are on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning into this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.